Some people have insisted that there is no way African Americans can be deported. Meanwhile, outsourcing the prison system is one way they plan to do it. Here's how that works. Before the election, conservatives insisted that they were only targeting undocumented and violent immigrants in their anti-immigration legislation, which many people knew for a fact that that was not true. Come to find out, they are targeting people of all various backgrounds with their anti-immigration push, including detaining U.S. veterans and Native Americans and Black Americans. And there's been a lot of discussion about the 14th Amendment and who it applies to and how it came to be in order to make the descendants of enslaved Africans U.S. citizens. So how could America deport us? Well, we've already been hyper-targeted through the prison industrial complex as well as through anti-immigration witch hunts during which they have actually tried to deport Black Americans. But in addition to that, this current administration is trying to work out a deal with El Salvador to deport immigrants to El Salvador, but also to deport violent American criminals that are currently imprisoned in the United States. And African Americans are already hyper-targeted through the prison industrial complex. If you look at the amount of people that have been exonerated from death row, the majority of them have been African American, where it has been found out later that they were actually not guilty. But that doesn't matter. They'll start out by saying they're going to house violent American criminals in another country. Then they'll probably expand that to any criminal, thereby removing us from U.S. soil and figuring out a way to deport African Americans. Last but not least, Vivek Ramaswamy kept saying that he believed that the 14th Amendment should be something earned and not automatically given. So that's another way to try to disentangle us from our American citizenship and civil rights. Stay woke.
Okay, so if you are in Mississippi or you know someone in Mississippi or just you're a good, decent human being, just listen up. So Mississippi currently has a piece of legislation on the House floor, HB 1484, and essentially a lot of people have coined it the bounty hunter bill, but it's much more than that. So yes, there is a program set for like bounty hunting, and they'll set up a unanimous tip line, and if you report an undocumented migrant, then you can get up to $1,000 once they are arrested and or detained. So that's a part of it. The other part of it is the penalties. If you are an undocumented migrant and you are caught in Mississippi, the penalties for it is life in prison. So let me show you. Okay, so this is taken directly from HB 1484, number 3. The offense of trespass by an illegal alien under this section is a felony for which the authorized term of imprisonment is life imprisonment without the eligibility for probation, parole, conditional release, or release except by an act of the governor or the natural death of such person. So why am I talking about this now? Because if you are a Black person in America, the 14th Amendment is how you were recognized as human. Prior to the 14th Amendment being codified, which overturned Dred versus Scott, you were not recognized as a human. So you had no civil rights. You had no entitlement to citizenship because you were only recognized as property. The Slave Compromise recognized Black individuals as 3/5 of a human, but not fully human. So you had no rights. Now, I've had several conversations and people think that I'm absolutely crazy when I tie HB 1484 to the current administration trying to overthrow the 14th Amendment. I've heard people say, absolutely, it's not legal. They're not going to do that. Nothing that this administration is doing is legal. That's the whole point. This administration does not recognize the separation of of powers as instituted in our Constitution. He has said several times he thinks we should overthrow the Constitution. You know, in that Bible that he had printed, he only printed the constitutional amendments that he actually wants to recognize. I don't have the Bible, so I can't tell you which ones those are. But yeah, the 14th Amendment is not in that one. Y'all, this is much more than Republicans in Mississippi trying to enslave migrants for life. If they are overthrowing the 14th Amendment, it is not just immigrants. It's not just people from Central America or Latin American or Latin communities that will be affected. Overthrowing the 14th Amendment also will make Black people, African Americans, migrants in our own country. Y'all, you cannot afford to sit this one out. You cannot afford to say, well, FAFO, and I've done videos about that. For real, but right now, this is an attack on us. You can't just say, oh, it doesn't affect me. All of this stuff affects us. Every single thing affects us. So what can you do? This is what you need to do. This is an app. It's available in the Google Play and Apple Store. Download it. If you are in Mississippi, this is going to list all of the current legislation that they are trying to push and or pass. This app also outlines all of the contact information for your representatives. So Senate, House, all of that, you can actually get their contact information. You've got to contact your representatives. You need them to vote no on HB 1484 and anything else that criminally penalizes migrants. It's not okay. And you need to push them to hold this current administration accountable. Now, honestly, I'm in Mississippi. Almost all of our representatives in the area that I live are Republican. Some of them I voted for, some of them I did not. And again, this is not a time to sit back. This is not a time to not be engaged. Civil engagement, y'all, this has to start right now. Also, Papa Mississippi did a video about this. It's pinned literally right to the top of his page. The bounty hunter bill. Definitely go check that out because he does a deep dive into the actual legislation. But again, for Black Americans, especially if you are in Mississippi, and there's a large population of Black people here in Mississippi, this is not okay for us. Like, comment, share, but most of all, get involved.
Hold on, buddy. So down here in Alabama, I delivered to what is going to be the billion. It is a $1 billion prison, and it's going to house 4,000 inmates. It's going to house 4,000 inmates. And hold on one second, buddy. And they were telling me that, you know, basically they shutting down 4 of the smaller prisons and gonna put 4,000 people into these prisons, right? $1 billion. So I'm sitting here thinking about, imagine if they would have put $1 billion into Alabama's education system, which Alabama has one of the worst education systems in the 50 states. And yes, I am still driving. That's like, it's not even where I'm actually coming from. But I'm still driving, and it's going to take me about 7 minutes to come out of the complex. But imagine if Alabama invested $1 billion into putting trade schools back into high schools, as far as automobile, welding, truck driving, you know. But instead, this is what they rather have, $1 billion put into a maximum security prison. I just want that to sink in. $1 billion that could have gone into education, but it's going to a prison. Look how small them cells is. Like these cells that they building for people, just straight concrete, cement blocks.
Well, looky. Project 2025 is continuing to move forward very smoothly, might I add. Trump signed the executive order that individuals who are on public housing got 2 years effective 2026. You have to figure your life out because public housing isn't something you're supposed to be on all your life. It's only to get you on your feet. So for all the ones who grew up in public housing and then they got their mom, inherited their mama project. Their mom inherited their grandma project, and then their grandma inherited her mama project, your great grandma project. Baby, it's done. You can no longer pass down your project to nobody else. Your housing, voucher, your Section 8, none of that. You cannot pass it down to other people no more. Okay? The buck stops here. You got 2 years. And I suggest you use those 2 years wisely because you don't listen. All right. You don't listen. When we say get out there and vote, you say, I'm not voting because my vote don't matter. And I'm not worrying about this and I could care less. All right. Because you was comfortable. Now he's kicking you out your comfort zone. You no longer could argue over something that you don't own. So at this point, you have 2 years. And like I said, use them wisely, my baby. Because evictions will start. It's effective 2026. Don't say you haven't been warned, baby. Because I clap on this page all day. All day. Since the beginning, Project 2025 was told that this was all happening. That was like some of my main things to say. But all right, the order signed. You have been warned. And guess what? Do your big one. You got this. You got this. You got this. It's scary, but you'll be okay. You got this, baby. Rise up.
Isaiah 42, 42nd chapter, and we're going to start at the 22nd verse. It reads, But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. Right? Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear? For the time is come. Salakia. Let me read that again. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear? For the time to come. Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not Yahweh, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in the ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. So they say, Slaki, I'm going to pause here, and it reads that way because why? We transgress the Most High laws. Okay? Now, there's criminals out here that broke laws, did murders and violent murders, because this is what they claim this is for. The violent criminals and all that hoopla. But we already seen by example what ICE did. And they detained some people who didn't have no damn criminal records. And they were some veterans and a little sprinkle of everybody. So come on, man. This is why you got to watch as well as pray, man. And never trust thy enemy, man. As it says in the Apocrypha. Right? So I'm going to read on to the 24th verse. It says, Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not Yahweh, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. Right? So 25th verse reads, Therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger, and the strength of the battle, and it hath set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. Shalom. Right, because the Most High laws supersedes Esau's because there's a lot of immoral behavior being done, right? Immoral behavior, right? From sodomy, whoredom, prostitution, right? All these things, pedophilia, all these things going on. So we gotta take heed to the Most High and repent of our ways, man. Those that are out there doing this wickedness, this the net and the snare you're gonna get caught up in. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom. Till next time, shalom yasha'Allah.